Okay, so you are tired of living in a house and you want to live the life of a full-time nomad. Well, luckily for you, I've got a shit ton of information. Hi, my name is Vanessa Keating. I've been living on the road full-time for 6 years, and I know a few things about the subject. Before we start off, I do want to say that if you're getting into this lifestyle to be stress-free and get away from any aggravators in your life, this is not the lifestyle for you. This is a stressful lifestyle, and it may not be on a day-to-day basis. Like today, all I had to do was therapy and this right here, but the universe is saving up the stress for a pop tire or some mechanic work. Our society romanticizes this lifestyle, and it really doesn't show the nitty-gritty, dirty stuff that happens. Getting stuck, having to get towed, going down the wrong road and having to back down 11 miles. Haha, I've done that. So before you get into this lifestyle, before you sell everything you own, before you sell your house and quit your job, do me a favor, do yourself a favor, try it out first. Whether that be renting a camper van or using whatever car you have right now to just go out for a few weeks at a time and really experience this lifestyle. Because I've met so many people who have tried this lifestyle out by sacrificing and giving up everything they have just to turn around and sell their $50,000 rig because it wasn't for them. So now that that disclaimer is out of the way, how do you get started? I find that the hardest thing for people to do is consolidate. Look at everything in your house and imagine packing it into a car. This lifestyle does not provide room for sentimental objects with no purpose. Consolidate what you own. Even if that means putting it into storage, you can get storage units for really cheap, but you can't take it with you. First things first, you have to find a reliable vehicle that fits your needs. So when we're thinking about cars, obviously the older you go, the more repair costs you're gonna have, but the newer you go, the more upfront cost you're gonna have. So you really have to figure out what fits your current budget. A lot of people, including myself, started out in the vehicle that they already have, and then they move up as they get further and further into the lifestyle. I went from a sedan to an SUV, I lived in a van for 4 years, and now I live in a 30-foot Class C. There are also pros and cons of every single vehicle that you're going to look at. So starting off with vans, they're small. They can fit in any area. Any mechanic can work on them. Vans are so much better on rough roads than bigger rigs. They're much easier in towns and mountain roads. Better gas mileage. They're less conspicuous. They don't leak anywhere you haven't cut a hole in the roof, and you can kind of choose your own height. So if you're my size, 5'3", you can choose a standard top ProMaster and you'll still have about 2 inches of height. Whereas if you're 6 foot, you're gonna have to go with a high top something to be able to stand up in your own house. I'm biased, I like vans, but there are a few problems with vans. If you're planning on getting on the road with your partner, I don't really recommend a van because the tight quarters are really hard. Having two people trying to live around each other in a space the size of your bathroom isn't super easy. They're small, which means rainy days are going to be uncomfy. Anytime you have to spend more than 24 hours in your car is not super great when you have a smaller car. And then I think the only other thing is bathrooms. If you're going with like an extended wheelbase, then I've seen a couple of people be able to fit like a small bathroom into their build. But if you're going with something pretty standard, chances are you probably won't have room for that, so you'll have to make do, which we will talk about here in a bit. Make do. RVs. RVs, oh boy. Let's go over the pros first. They're pre-built. You really don't have to do much other than install a solar system usually and beef up your electrical system. Most of these things don't come built with the ability to be off-grid, at least not the older ones. A pro is the fact that there's a lot of roof space for solar. There's a lot of storage space. They feel like houses. You know, I can spend weeks in this thing if it's bad weather, and I'm still comfortable because I've got 4 different rooms. I've also got 2 beds, so I can host people if they want to come over and spend the night. You've got big bathrooms, you've got amenities like microwaves and ovens. Like that's the comforts that you would be missing out on if you went with something smaller like a van. You've got bigger fridges, you've got a bigger water tank. I carry 60 gallons. My partner carries, I think, 5 gallons of water. So I'm able to stay out here a lot longer than he would if he were by himself. And now we move to cons. These things age like dogs. Simply put, if they're over 20 years old, they need work. cost is great. I bought this thing for 18 grand, but I just had to pay about 6 grand for an entire loft rebuild. That was a really cheap price. A good friend of mine did that. They're usually about 12 grand. Most Class Cs with rotten lofts usually get totaled.
Maisie. Hi, Maisie. Hi, Maisie Kane.
Want to come up here and talk about the cons? Okay. Oh my God. They leak. They leak a lot. They leak so much. They are not built to last. They're not built to be lived in full time. And a lot of people don't know the maintenance that's required to keep these things alive for long term. Are you just gonna wiggle the whole time? Okay, see you later. That was fun. They're cheaply built. I'm just gonna go out and say it. These things are built with hopes and dreams and some cardboard. So, digging into the walls, you're probably gonna find soft wall if you go with an older one. If you go with a newer one, they're made with IKEA furniture. If you go with an old one, they're better built, but they're usually worse maintained. So they are a constant project. So if you're a DIYer like myself, they're pretty good. I think I've spent an accumulative $27,000 on this thing in a year and a half. So, I mean, it works. Like I touched on before, they are not set up for off-grid use. RVs usually come with only a generator and a shore power plug, so they're kind of meant to be pavement babies and kind of weekender excursion type thing. So if you DIY your electrical system, you'll look at about $1,500, give or take. If you have a professional do it, I would honestly double that. This is where YouTube comes in. I learned all of my electrical off of YouTube, off of friends who were electricians. Harder to park, harder to drive. This thing drives like a freaking boat. And then mechanic work is a lot more expensive because I can't just drive into any shop and have them work on it. I have to go to a specialty big bay truck toppers. I think the best thing about them is the fact that normally they're four-wheel drive. Normally you have the truck before you decide on that type of a camper. And the campers are really cheap. I've seen good ones go for as little as 2 grand. So if you already have a beefy truck and you don't need a lot of space, I would just go with that. Because you think about your truck, you can go to any mechanic, they can work on it, super simple. And then the components of the house portion are a lot more simple than an RV. Cons are, again, they're small. So more than one person, probably gonna be a little uncomfy. You have to own or buy a truck. So if you don't already have a truck, you're looking at either a payment or a big cost up front for a beefy truck. Then you have to worry about compatibility issues. How much can your truck handle versus what kind of a camper are you looking at? Buses are fun. I really want a bus. I think that's gonna be my next one. The nice thing about a bus is they are built to last and they're maintained really freaking well. So if you get an older bus, chances are it was babied its entire life. The cost of them, God, they're really cheap compared to like an RV or a pull behind. They are really cheap for such a large amount of space because they're so plentiful. They're a hell of a lot safer as well in an accident than something like this because they're built to protect kids. When we're looking at the cons, we're thinking about the fact that there's a lot of prep work involved before you can actually do your build. You've got to take out all of the seats, which is a royal pain in the ass, I know from experience, and then take down all of the walls and ceiling, remove that insulation, put better insulation in there. So getting to your build part is going to be a lot longer than if you were to buy a cargo van that's just an empty aluminum shell and throw a house inside of it. Again, we're looking at size. The bigger the vehicle, the harder it is to drive. You've got roads that don't allow heavy weight, you've got bridges that are low, and then you've got RV parks. If you're an RV park kind of person, some just don't allow buses. If you went with the option of bus, cargo van, or box truck, it is time to build out your rig. This is a big task, a really big task, but luckily you are currently on an app with all of the information that you need. I am a graduate of YouTube University. Every single build that I've done, I am spending hours and hours on YouTube the day before I start that specific part of the project. You're gonna need tools, a table saw, a jigsaw, a sander, a drill. I recommend a Craig jig, though my first build I didn't use one. And then you can apply it to an earthquake type of model. So bolting things down to the subfloor is imperative. Bolting things to the walls. None of my furniture moves. And if it does, and I take a right turn really hard, it ends up on the left side of the house. Your first build is going to be your practice build. I've met so many people, including myself, that absolutely hated their first build, but we learned a lot from it. You're going to learn more about your specific needs with your first build than you're ever going to learn online. I lived in my first one for about a year, and I tore it down and redid it completely. Nothing was the same. And everybody is different. My first build looked a lot like my partner's current build, and he absolutely loves it. So it was set up with a static bed in the back and then a kitchen behind the driver's side, and it didn't work for me. I needed something that was a little bit more fluid. So when I did my rebuild, I made an L-shaped couch with a full cabinet wall, and I loved it because I could choose between having a living room or a kitchen if I put the table up, or a bedroom. And it really helped me personally with like rainy days and windy days, just days that I had to be inside and I didn't just want to be in the bed or standing up. Whereas with Lincoln, he doesn't like having to make a bed, like actually build his bed every night. So he loves the fact that he can just go and lay down. So you've got your stuff, you've got your rig, it's time to make money. How do you make money is one of the top questions that we all get on the road, because society isn't set up for people like us, not mainstream society. But there are so many ways that you can earn a living. That's why there are so many of us. You can do temp jobs, you can do any sort of trade. If you're a mechanic, if you're a tattoo artist, if you do hair, if you make art, you can sell your services at gatherings, at events, at festivals, at markets. Temp work is a really big one. I personally recommend looking into coolworks.com. With Coolworks, you can find a lot of really cool seasonal positions like campground hosts. You can work at resorts. There are filters that you can choose from that'll show you jobs that are pet friendly, that provide housing, that provide a free spot with hookups. And then you can also do state to state. Wonolo is another one. It stands for Work Now Locally. All you have to do is log on to this. You can choose whatever job you want, apply for it. You get the job pretty much instantly. And then you can choose your own schedule too. So, you know, if this job lasts for 4 months, you can choose, oh, I only want to work 3 of it, or I want to work the entire 4 months. And then you get paid 3 days after your shift. I do have a promo code for that. It is down in the bio. You can copy and paste it and sign up with Wonolo. If you work, I think 3 shifts, then we both get some extra money. You can work festivals, that pays a lot of money. Remote work is huge. I know a lot of people that work remote, and thanks to the way our world is now, you can find remote work really easily. The way I make money is I am personally an exotic dancer most of the time, so I'm able to just go from place to place, go to a club, make a bunch of money. I also do OF stuff. I know a lot of people that hold signs or spange, they busk, they dumpster dive. It really depends on your level of comfortability. A lot of the people that live out here are retired. My partner is ex-military, so there are a million different things that you can do out here. How do you get mail, registration, insurance? What do you do about that? Most of us use friends or family. My brother gets my mail. There are a lot of companies out there that are actually digital mail services for people like us. Anytime Mail, Post-Scan Mail, iPostal One, these are services that will scan and shred your documents and then email them to you. They'll also forward any packages that you have to your current location. If you're looking to get Amazon packages or anything shipped to you, there's obviously lockers and UPS stores, and then post offices will sometimes do general delivery. That's a kind of service that you have to walk in and ask, so you'll have to be in the area for however long to actually receive those packages. On the topic of registration and insurance, RV insurance is normally a lot cheaper than van insurance. If you're not planning on keeping the same address that you currently have, you can actually go to any state. There are some states that are a lot cheaper than others for insurance and registration. You can get a PO box and then you can become a resident of that state. You've got all of your ducks in a row and you're ready to go. Where are you gonna go? Well, most of us come out west. Most of the land out here is public use. The East Coast is so much harder to live on the road than it is out west. Right now, I'm currently on BLM, Bureau of Land Management. Anywhere you see that, usually it's free 14-day camping, and then you have to move 20 some odd miles, and then you can camp for another 2 weeks. Same thing with National Forest, same thing with some wildlife refuges. If you're going through civilization, you can camp at a lot of Walmarts. Some don't allow it. A lot of Cracker Barrels, Cabela's, Bass Pro Shops, rest stops. Either way, I always recommend downloading the app iOverlander. This app is fantastic. It has filters that show you exactly what you want to see. If you want established campgrounds or if you want off-grid stuff, people leave reviews and they leave pictures of what you're getting into. So you kind of have a good idea of where you're going before you get there. But there's so much camping out here. I personally have only paid for about 20 campsites in 6 years. I just live on public land. Showers, 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 showers. You've been living out here and you stink. I actually stink right now. Where do you go? There are a lot of options depending on who you are as a person, what your likes are, what your travel style is going to be. A lot of people, including my partner, do Planet Fitness. Lincoln likes to be in big cities and towns a lot more than I do, but that's only $25 a month, and then you can use any Planet Fitness anywhere in the country. I use recreation centers, I use truck stop showers. You can go up to a trucker and ask them if you can have one of their shower credits. I use my outdoor shower. I actually converted my indoor shower into a walk-in closet because I personally don't believe in having a wet room inside of an RV, my personal preference. So this outdoor shower really does the trick. Since we're talking about bathrooms, and hypothetically you decided on a rig that doesn't have a built-in bathroom, it is time for the age-old question: where do you poop? Almost every store has a bathroom, so if you're a civilization dweller, you can go into stores when you're at home at night or out here alone. A bucket and bag works, or if you're feeling frisky, just a bag. There are also composting toilets and cassette toilets. I've seen people that use buckets and kitty litter or sawdust, and then when you pee, you just find a jug or a container of sorts. This lifestyle is not a flush and forget type of lifestyle. I have a black water tank, so once every 2 weeks or so, I have to empty my tanks. I have to find a dump station. Either way, you'll have to deal with poop. Okay, so there you have it. Again, I do want to stress, this is not a stress-free lifestyle. It is wild, it is unpredictable, it is tough. And you have to relearn everything you know about living and surviving as an adult in this world. And you have to learn a completely new lifestyle. Everything you know changes, from your sleep habits to your shower habits to your eating habits to every single part of your everyday life is completely different. Now, am I saying it's a bad decision? Absolutely not, because I have found so much happiness out here and I've become the best version of myself because of the situations that I've put myself in. I'm constantly growing, I'm constantly challenging myself, and my life is constantly changing. But it is one hell of a learning curve. So just do your research. Make sure that this is the thing for you before giving away everything you own to chase a life that you don't know if you're gonna like. And most importantly, be adaptable. Be open to change. Take the magic with the tragic and just go with the flow, because this life is 100% unpredictable.